Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat magazine, and we've got a special guest, Jay Batista with Tedial. How you doing, Jay?
Hi, Ryan. Things are going great.
Excellent, excellent. So we've known you for a few years, and Tedial is a company that's huge on asset management. That's your primary business, right?
Right, that's correct. And actually, the company got started in 2000. It was founded by a PhD professor and the head of the computer science department at the Institute of Technology in Malaga. And we have always been focused on SMPTE and IT standards so that our products are very future-proof, very future-leaning.
Your main product is asset management. I know you have modules to that system too, or something to that effect. Is that my understanding is correct?
That's correct, Ryan. The company has designed the products so that they are modular, and it's a set of IT media tools. So this media IT can be put together in different ways to actually deliver a complete working system to various companies and to different applications. In fact, at this year's IBC, we're going to really be focusing on showing new business models for both production models, news distribution models, and sports.
Are you more popular like in a broadcast production environment or different types of facilities?
Well, Tedial manufactures systems for the enterprise. And so we do a lot of broadcast systems for large broadcasters who have multiple operations all around a country or a region or a continent. We also do a lot of post-production systems. And the reason for that is we have one of the world's best media logistics planning platforms. And I'll talk a little more about what that means as we continue this interview.
What you guys manufacture is software then, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and so that software I assume can be put on any type of hardware in a facility?
That's right. Normally, when we propose a system to a client, we've spent enough time to understand what their needs are, and we then give them a bill of materials for the hardware that they can source. We also work in virtual systems, and we've developed the entire system to operate in the cloud. We actually have 6 current deployments that use aspects of the cloud for their operations and their platform. So where did this all begin? If you think back 15 years ago, media asset management was a buzzword that everybody needed a library. They wanted a library to understand what they had in their closet, to know what was on the shelf, and to talk about how could they monetize it in the future and make money from that back catalog. Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, people began to realize that just having a library wasn't enough. You really needed to have workflows associated with that library. So in other words, you could take a piece of media and transcode it or check the audio or do QC and then make it ready for another play out or distribution methodology. Okay, so 5, 6 years ago, people bought these products, these workflow products. They started plugging them into their MAMs, and they started trying to build out processes, business processes. Tedial's system actually starts with a workflow platform and integrates the MAM into it so that the MAM itself is workflow aware. And we're already in a position where that workflow is integral to the operations of the library system. Separate from that, we have separated the business process layer from the integration layer where you tie in all your third-party products like traffic and billing, back office systems, routers, switchers, transcoders, audio level, play-to-air servers. All of that is at the integration layer. At the upper level, your business process layer, we actually tie in the human operations, the steps that people take every day to do their job. And we then have task management and user group associations, all of it security controlled. And the system is designed to be an enterprise system. So as we move into a modern world where people are doing production in their house, sports production in the field, and you need those to all tie in and log into the MAM and associate media, we absolutely support that with our fundamental product.
Let me ask you this. So you mentioned that you guys have stuff in the cloud environment for some of your clients. I assume that cloud environment is all owned by the client, specific to that client. They've got something in a data center and they've got something somewhere else at the television network or something like that, right?
That is correct, although we have some clients that are leveraging Amazon's cloud services and Microsoft Azure as receptacles for data storage, for transcoding on demand, and they add those into the systems. A good application that we have is where a client has 6 different news operations in 6 countries and around the Nordic states. And literally they go in and share programs with each other and do partial file restores, and then just send 10 minutes of HD to Stockholm and 3 minutes to Copenhagen and 2 minutes over to Reykjavik. And what they're doing is they're maximizing the different news organizations and then billing each other for sharing that media. And that's all done, distributed through the cloud, and the operation is actually uploaded into a cloud-based system, so that different companies can actually share media with each other and get they get the savings of not having to have a full news operation in a different capital of another country.
Let's just pretend there's a major network in New York City, for example, and that network needs to distribute data to 200 television stations all over the country. So is it possible, and it sounds like it is with your system, where you have the main operation, if you will, that runs out of, let's say, ABC in New York or something, and then you've got all 200 ABC affiliates across the country, their systems talk to that system and then they synchronize somehow? Am I understanding that right?
First of all, it's a browser-based tool. So you, using Safari or Internet Explorer or Chrome, Google Chrome, can log on from your house onto the MAM system. And actually, it doesn't matter where that server is, whether it's in New York or wherever. So think of it this way. You have a production center in Phoenix, Arizona, who has just shot some news. They go online and upload that news through their terminal, and they attach the file and send it in, and the system automatically tags it with metadata. And all of the news operations, let's say there's 200 affiliates, and 75 of them are following that news story. Those 75 will automatically get the media moved to their storage at their location if you've set it up to run that way, because it's auto-tagged when you associate that media with the metadata that's already in the system, and it automatically distributes. That's one application. Another application is, let's say you're doing sports production and you've got stringers out in the field, and they've got to do lots of different videos and then do a little bit of production, maybe some quick EDL work, and then they send those files back to the corporate offices for further production or use in highlight reels or whatever they need to do. Often they'll do a melt in the truck using EVS, which is a third-party vendor that we connect to, and that's sent back to the main network. But you've got stringers who have done interviews in the field, or they've gone back to the high school coach of this big player on the NFL team, and they've got this material, and so they can log in using our browser-based tools, and because it's a true object relational database, they can then relate any of that material to the original program. And you can literally have hundreds or thousands of different things that are connected to that main piece of media. And often you'll have a parent piece of media and lots of children that you've created different edited versions of that media all associated. One of the great innovations that Tedial has done is that we have expanded that. So now our system connects to rights management systems to make the media rights aware. And that's just not rights for how long you can play this program. It includes elemental rights like the rights to the music, the rights to the product placements in the program. And we also tie to DAM systems and other back office systems like traffic and billing systems. But by tying to DAMs, you also know that there's associated photography, that there's web banners available, that there's documents that are available, and they're all associated to that main piece of media. So you can go to one receptacle and look at it, find the pieces you need, and then trigger other events. One of the things about Tedial is we have evolved our product into a logistics planning platform. What does that mean? Well, let's say that you're a company like Televisa and you have operations in 5 major cities all over Mexico. When you have a producer who logs in Monterrey and searches for a program file in the library, he pulls up that program file and then makes some edit choices. the producer doesn't need to know that that file is actually in Mexico City, and the transcoders are actually in Mexico City, and the production, the physical hardware is there. All they need to know is that they've called for a job, an action's going to happen, a workflow is going to happen somewhere, and that media will then be delivered to them on their local server in the matter of time that it takes to process it. We actually run for companies like Televisa and others thousands of workflows a day, have hundreds of users on the system concurrently, and it is an enterprise system, so it's meant to deploy over multiple locations, have multiple tenants, and have big operations support so that we can support many different departments at the same time doing operations.
Jay, is there anything in particular that you'd like to share that maybe I haven't touched on about
I'd
your
like to
services?
talk a little bit about the upcoming shows. Next week is SET in Brazil, and we'll be showing a system there. And we're also headed to the IBC in September. At the IBC, we're going to show our support for Ultra HD. About 3 years ago, we started demonstrating 4K systems, and we currently can support 4K and 8K. We also are going to show some new business models for production workflows, for post-production workflows, for sports and news operations. We'll also give some actual hands-on demonstrations of the remote production abilities of the system, so that if you're setting up lots of remote operations, or if you have a lot of companies that you work with that actually give you media, let's say you do all your closed captioning from an external, or translations through an external company, you can have them dial in and associate to the media. And we have a lot of great reporting, and we're also going to be talking about the connection of your MAM to your rights systems and your traffic systems to actually make the MAM rights aware, to understand what contractual limits you have on the media that you have, so that when you're out monetizing your media and you're trying to get the most money for your assets, you can then link in your legal departments, and you can actually have workflows to get around the fact that your contract may not support a certain streaming or a certain on-demand type service, and you can actually work with that. So hopefully that'll help you understand what we're all about at Tedial. We have a lot of great tools. We sell them individually or as a complete system. We work with clients. And this year at NAB, we were chosen for the Game Changer Award by the IABM. And the reason they chose us is because, different from every other company, we actually will train our users on how to use the software, how to write their own workflows, how to work in the data model and change the data model. And we want them to be self-sufficient, so that when we leave them, they can expand it and grow it on their own. Because the reality is, our broadcasters today are going to see their workflows change every 6 months. There's always a new service. There's always a new product you've got to deliver for, and a new kind of transcode you've got to deal with.
Jay, again, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us here at Broadcast Beat.
Thanks, Ryan, and I hope you have a great day, and look forward to seeing you at the IBC.